Welcome back. Got the car out of the trailer today. Just quit raining earlier today. Everything's still a little wet, but got the car out of the trailer. It's Saturday. Car has an appointment at 9 o'clock on Monday at Briggs Motorsports in Savannah, Georgia, to get dyno tuned for the new Holly on top of it, Sniper. So it's got new NGK spark plugs in it. I got two more brand new sets on top of the generator. Might be able to see them in there for when we go. Got up with him, said what do I need to have for it. He said make sure you have extra spark plugs. So I got extra spark plugs, got brand new wires. It's got those Scots around the front. Instead of going through these headers here, I got them on each set running around the front. They're zip tied up out of the way on both sides. See if I can't show you this side too, so they don't touch the headers, come in contact with them or anything like that. And hopefully no more burned out wires. We'll see. Every single inch of them has that DEI titanium protective sleeve on it. My son's come back with my tools. He's working on his car. That after we put that suspension on there, the springs, he's tightening the clamp. So my wife got me a 16-inch electric fan from Speedway Motors for Christmas. So I'm going to go and try and get that put on the car, so while it's sitting on the dyno it's not getting too hot, we'll turn the fan on. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to take this air intake off the top of it, get to it, figure out how to mount it, wire it in, and then I'm going to have to take the dash and the windshield out, run the wires through here, and drill me a hole for another switch in the dash. So it may take a little bit, but first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this intake off the top, see what we're looking at on the back of this radiator, and I'll be right back with you. Alright, so that was fun. One of this little bolt here was, or screw here was stripped, so I had to reach my hand down into the intake to get these from the inside, get the nut off of them. Took a minute. We got everything off over here. Got all my little bolts and screws sitting over here. There's the Holly Sniper again. Sniper 2, excuse me. There's our transponder sitting on there, bolted to the frame. It's hardwired in, so it has power constantly. The number for its sticker to the side of the car. All right, so here we are. Here's our CNR radiator. I'm gonna go get that Speedway Motors electric fan. Haven't even tried to see if this will fit yet, so we'll take this out. It's like how they attach. You push these through the radiator, maybe through the fins. They kind of maybe like a zip tie ratchet on there. I'm not sure. There's multiple different mounting points on the fan itself, so I guess you can kind of play with it and get it where you want it. So let's get that out real quick. There we are. Oh, come on, box, work with me. All right, here's our fan. This is the 16-inch. There's two wires, power and ground. I'm not going to wire it into a relay or anything. I'm going to go a little more basic, and I'm going to wire it directly into my dash, like I said, with a switch, and I'll control everything from there. It may not be perfect, but at least gives me control over it. That way I don't turn on the fan. I know the Sniper will turn on fans at certain temperatures, but I don't want to go through that hassle of doing that. I'd rather have control of it myself. Hopefully I won't forget. But like sitting on grid or going through the paddock or just letting the car cool off a little bit, I'll be able to flip that switch and turn this fan on. So I'm going to see about getting this down, mounted in here, and if I run any hiccups, it may take a minute, but I'll be back with you. Alright, so that took a little bit. Got the top of this off. One of the bolts was stripped, so that took a minute. Had to get rid or move the radiator supports in order to push the radiator forward enough to get it in there. So got the fan behind the radiator, behind the bar, so that was too tight without moving the radiator. Then to the front, which is going to be fun and not wanting to damage too many fins on the radiator, but this is all riveted together. And it's very difficult to get down in here, so I'm going to have to see, get me or my son, a little smaller, to snake his hand down in here and push them out where we think we're going to need it to go, and see if we can get this mounted up. We're going to try and do it. If it weren't for the rivets, I'd just bolt all these, but it's mounted through the crash bar or whatever that is down there. It's all the way through, and there's no way to take it out. And like I said, some of these are riveted, and it's just too much. So I can take these bolts out or screws out, but then the front part is riveted, so it's just a catch-22. I can do it, but it's just extra work for nothing. We're going to see if we can get enough leeway in this to get our hands out in there and push these little zip tie things through and see if we can get it. Alright, so it's the next morning. it got foggy and cold on us real quick last night, so we just went to the car up in the trailer. Got back this morning, rolled it out, took the hood off, and here we are. We got the fan mounted up in here, pretty solid. A little bit of play, but not too much. So now it's gonna have to work on the wiring. Little fun side note, had to drill all these rivets out, so I'm gonna have to get rid of these and put new rivets in it here in just a few minutes. Brought the rivet gun this morning. So we're gonna take the windshield out, take the dash off over there so I can get to all the wiring. And it used to have a fan. I noticed there's some wires underneath the dash that are labeled fan, and these don't really run to anything. So I'm gonna check them for power and ground and see what I can get worked out. Try to reuse the same wires that already run through the firewall. Be a little easier for me. Find out where they go in there, and we'll get this thing wired up. I'll have to figure out where they're at, and I don't have a spare switch, so I'm gonna drill me a new hole, run to AutoZone, just buy a little switch, wire it up in there, and be good to go. All right, let's get this windshield off. All right, so got rid of the connection that came with the Speedway fan here and just straight hardwired on power, ground. Traced those lines back, make sure they were connected well. Zip tied them up out of the way here. I'm going to clean up some of these zip ties a little bit. So I went to go get some scissors, put them in the heat sleeve, run them back to the firewall. The power runs back in here. I know it looks like a mess, but a lot of this was done before me, and I've been able to make sense of most of it. I'm telling you, taking that windshield off and this dash makes this so much easier just to lean over the car and get into some of the wiring. But I'm gonna drill my hole right here beside the what switch is that? Let's say water wiper. Okay, beside the wiper switch. I'm gonna go to AutoZone, just buy me a switch, drill through there, and I'll have to run power from it over here to the master, so I can, the bar here behind the master, so I can get power to it. And then I'll run this to that switch, and the ground will go to the ground bar over here on the chassis that goes back to that main one I installed. So shouldn't take too much longer. I got to run to AutoZone here in just a minute, but in the meantime, my son went to get those scissors to clean up some of the zip ties. I want to get some of these old rivets out of the grill and re-rivet the grill. Shouldn't take but just a minute. Alright, so we got the car back together, minus the windshield and dash, where we need to do some of the wire once we get AutoZone. But we got all the intake and everything back together, all the screws, got the ducting for the radiator put back together. No extra leftover bolts or screws, so that's exciting. We're going to run to the store, get that switch. I'll show you which one it is, put it in the car, and we'll go from there, check this fan, see if it works, and continue getting this thing ready for the dyno tomorrow. Alright, so went to AutoZone, got a cheap little switch. It's like $6-7, just on-off switch. Already drilled the hole, it's 1/2 inch. It's going to go right there beside the wiper. Put it in, made sure it fit. Sorry, I forgot to video that. Some of the terminals on this are kind of hard to get to from the bottom, so I'm gonna go ahead and do some of the wiring, just at least from the master to that. Go and get some wiring done, and then I'll run this. This is easy, it's gonna be on top, so I'll do that later once I get this switch put in. But I'm gonna go ahead and get my wire put on this and on the master. That way it can be a little easier for me. I don't know if yeah, I can't put it in backwards, so yeah, it's got to go from the bottom. Also plug the car up, letting the oil heater warm up. It's been running plugged up for about 45 minutes, so I'll cycle it through, get that warm oil into the motor, keep letting that heat up. But when we get this done, we'll see if the fan works. We'll crank this thing up, let it run for a little bit before the dyno tomorrow, make sure everything's running good, nothing froze out here. It's been sitting in heat, but I want to make sure nothing froze and broke. We're going to do all our checks today. Alright, so we got the fan down in there, wires run back up into here, through the firewall, up into the dash. Here's our fan from the radiator, or excuse me, from the fan. And then we have our, from the switch back here to the master. So let's see if this works. We're gonna give it power and turn it on. It's not promising. Let's see, I didn't put a fuse in that one. We should have power to it. Might switch these up and see if that works for me. Try them on different terminals of the switch and go from there. Let's make sure and follow that ground back too. I didn't follow it all the way to make sure it went to the ground bar. So I'm gonna check those two things and we'll try it again. Well, I chased the negative, the ground, and it goes back to the ground bar where everything else is grounded out, and it seems to be good. Check the wire up here, trace it all the way back through, switch terminals on the switch, made sure everything was connected nice and good. Everything seems to be good to go. I just don't know quite why the radiator fan ain't cranking on, but I hate to cut off right there, but I'm running out of daylight and I got a whole list of other stuff I got to get on this car, including just cranking it up and letting it run. So oil's been plugged up for a while, so we unhooked that and hooked it back to the battery since I cycled the oil, and got that through there. So I'm gonna let it charge for just a second. I'm gonna fire it up, let it warm up a minute, make sure everything's good, nothing's leaking, nothing's cracked from sitting in the cold for the last couple weeks. And we're gonna check tire pressures on the trailer, clean up the trailer a little bit, maybe just do a little maintenance on that and organize a little bit because we got stuff everywhere. Work through the list. If I get time, I'm gonna come back and work on this, but if not, it's going to the shop tomorrow. I'll have them just give a cursory look at it, see if they notice anything, but wiring's not my forte. But I'm gonna crank this thing up, and well, hell, let's go ahead and fire it up, see if it cranks. All right. Let that do its. Yeah, battery's not happy. It's down to 11 volts. Let me give it one more try. Nope, run out of battery. I'm gonna let that sit a minute and charge that battery up more. That's what I was worried about. Didn't let it charge enough. We'll let it charge a little bit more and we'll try again. Been a fun day. Well, that took way too long and way too much juice. Had to put my son's car up here to get him cranked up, but we got it running. It's not happy about sitting during the winter. I'm gonna let it run for a minute, get everything warmed up. We'll load her up in the trailer, get her ready for tomorrow. Going down the Briggs Motorsports for the dyno, but cleaned up the axles on the trailer, recaulked the roof where the vent was. We're gonna do some organizing in here tonight, but for the most part I got my checklist done. It still looks like trash in here. Got to put all these tools, generator and everything up, but glad to get the car running. We'll see how tomorrow how it goes for us. I'll let you know. Thank you.